avoid something on the pedestal.
Pretty much. And we are underway. Game 2 is afoot.
Uncle starting off letting us know he is heir and giving us a big full heart container in our house.
Love to see the heart container right out of the gates here. A brief map check. Looks like every single dungeon is a crystal right as we speak.
Yep, all 3 Light World dungeons look to be crystals, something that's usually nice to see, given those are a few of the easier dungeons in the game.
And today's starting weapon is going to be a sword.
Man, is this even rando?
I'm sure we're playing rando right now. Don't get me wrong, we are playing rando, but there's 3 bombs. Is it enough to tell you that's randomized?
There we go. I was gonna be worried if that was a lamp.
Yeah, that actually is one of the 3 normal locations that definitely have to be there.
Alright, so we're starting off with a sword and some bombs. Decent offense as we're heading down into the escape. Standard basically just means you gotta start it off like you normally do any old vanilla game. Head on down, rescue Zelda, and make your way out the back of escape into the sanctuary.
Yep, very much the normal game that you all know and love. This is familiar if you've played this before, and we start off with an ice rod.
That could be definitely interesting there to see what we have Turtle Rock as late. I think the big question will be, though, will we get a guard toss when we get down to the cell now?
We'll have to see. Both runners are evenly close together, as typical for the standard seed. Arrows in the boomerang chest.
Those arrows right on further down towards the cell. Both runners within literally a few frames of each other here. Making quick work of this standard mode escape sequence.
There's the Dark Cross key in Zelda cell.
And the only dungeon item left we're looking for is the map, which means I believe we should have 3 more items in the back of escape coming up here.
And that map is still out there. Now, if we don't see the map within the back of Escape or the Dark Cross, we know that the map is going to be in the Sanctuary chest, meaning that we do skip it.
Yep, save you a few seconds there. Very precious early on. If you know the map is in that chest, you just go ahead and see. Saw down in the cell, Marcnificent actually bumped into the locked door to Zelda cell a little bit before grabbing the big key. That's got him back behind a little bit, now behind Goomba. Still fairly inconsequential at this point.
Yeah. And to answer a question, chat, we're doing the standard mode, so both runners will start off in the sanctuary, or start off in the castle, and then make their way over to the sanctuary. There's a hammer within Dark Cross.
Whole lot of offense early on in this seed. Hammer sometimes a little harder to use, but it does give you the damage of a tempered sword.
Into the back of escape now. And what a hole in the escape. We have a hook shot and a glove, and that does mean that there is a map in the sanctuary chest.
So I'd anticipate both of our runners to skip right on over that, head on out in the overworld. Sub 6-minute escapes for both of our runners today. Very nice, very well done.
And yeah, they did count their items right. That does mean that they're both skipping out on that chest. Now, hookshot is nice. It's pretty much some early speed, if you can call it speed, but nice to have. You're just moving around Hyrule before you had the boots.
And a little bit of gap closer also gives you the whole stun your enemies ass. Also kill a few other enemies. It's just another good weapon to have early on here in the match.
Okay, we're gonna drop down into the thief drop down, finding a heart piece while Marcnificent is going to check the mushroom spot. And a big old jackpot of 300 rupees.
Definitely going to pick that up early. That'll give us money for the bottle vendor, and it'll get us a little bit closer to that Zora cache, which, ironically enough, with one glove in hand, is technically a
And Goomba is going to go and check out the lumberjack chest. And Marcnificent is going to do the same thing. Just a heart piece.
Another big thing in Link to the Past Randomizer is having a little bit of knowledge, and having that knowledge that you don't need to take out Ega for that little bit or that item is always handy this early on. Looks like Goomba will be taking those gloves up the mountain already as well.
Yeah, this is a very interesting play, and Marcnificent is going to do the same thing. And as
We'll get them the save and quit spot. If they wanted, they could check upside, the on top and inside of Spectacle Rock, but I could almost see him taking that hook shot over to the east side.
And as Chet points out, it is rare to see Death Mountain before going to Kakariko this early in the game. That dead rock.
Dead Rock's doing what they do best, and the old man just tipping us $20 for that escort through the dark room.
This is one of the more easier dark rooms to learn, and it's very straightforward.
Yep, just have one pit there early on, a few bats to avoid. Other than that, nothing too much in there that'll throw you for a loop. Mark looks like he's going to the east side. Goomba's going towards Spectacle Rock, and we see we have a mushroom hunt.
That is locked behind the mirror.
And he checks inside, finds out there's some rupees in there, and saves and quits about right away.
Heading for South Shore, while Marcnificent is going to go over to Paradox Cave.
Ooh, and we got Flute up on Death Mountain.
Ooh, that is going to be very interesting. Goomba skipped out on that in favor of going to South Shore.
If nothing else, that lets you get a little bit of an idea as well where the lamp could be hiding for the logical access up. We've got a piece of heart, red cane, 20 rupees. What else do we have hiding here? A pack of bombs and 10 more bombs for Mark over there.
See, brought you by red and blue things.
And Goomba looks like he's going to take that South Shore path over towards Agina instead. Not even going to bother checking the ledge on the way.
Mark will be able to check that when he does activate the flute and head straight over to Agina. Marknificent isn't going to hold off on doing Spiral Cave just yet, and Agina Cave only having 5 rupees.
Ooh, I like this. I think I know what Mark's going to do with that early hook shot. His little look at the top of Spectacle Rock with the mushroom there. And with this early hook shot, if we are fire locked, he very well could continue up Tower of Hera if he so chooses. However,
speaking of a fire source, there's a fire rod right here just to start off Tower of Hera.
Not a bad find early on.
Yeah, both rods are really quick to access. There's the big key. And yeah, Marcnificent is going to go straight into a Hero Pod.
Well, he really does have the big key. If you can hit this right away, it does save quite a bit of time for it. Meanwhile, on Goomba's side, coming up with a little bit of nothing out of Mini Moldorm Cave.
Marcnificent didn't quite get it just yet, so he's going to try again.
There you go. Gets it the second time, and we are going right on up the tower.
Goomba's going to make their way over to Ice Rod Cave. And there's a French Vanilla Moon Pearl just a chest below the big chest. And there's your Darkwood access. And there's the single arrow within Ice Rod Cave.
Interesting thing to keep in mind here on Mark's side, without that lamp, technically all of this is a sequence break since we did find that flute up on top of the mountain as well.
Yeah, that is true.
Just something to kind of keep in mind as we go on later to figure out just what the logic of this seed wants us to do. But Marcnificent at 13 minutes drawing first blood, taking down Moldorm and getting our first crystal of the match. That is quite an early crystal, if I do say so.
Yeah, considering that both runners went up to Death Mountain at the same time, Marcnificent drawing first blood. Yeah, this is looking really good for Marcnificent.
Looks like he's probably going to take the spiral staircase way down here. I would almost anticipate a save and quit. Meanwhile, Goomba making his way through Paradox, grabbing his flute.
And yeah, since without the boots, this is going to be slow and arduous. Very, very slow.
One of the slower things to do this early on, however, given this would be probably your last check up on the mountain if you didn't do it now, orphaning it, really no other better time to get it out of the way.
And just a hard piece, that will do it for Death Mountain.
This early routing definitely going to pay off for Marcnificent, because he'll be able to activate his flute right as soon as he gets over to Kakariko for the first time over.
Yeah, a 15-minute Kakariko. We've seen that a few times, I want to say. Can't be too certain though.
It's definitely not something you see all too often. You rarely see people go up Death Mountain before they even go into Kakariko. The items just fell right this seed for our runners to do that. Marked down in Blind's basement. Got a full heart container here. Another full heart container. Our blue cane. As well as a piece of heart.
Now they could do Spike Cave, but I have 7 hearts. I'm not sure if these runners would want to do that since they just got done with Death Mountain.
Definitely not. And doesn't look like Goomba has an invincibility item yet, so I don't think we'll be able to be seeing him go up there anytime soon. Also missing the Harapot, deciding to go up the long way instead. It's one of those things, you spend too long doing the Harapot, you actually lose yourself time. Meanwhile, Mark finding a bottle in Kakariko, well, he's going to be able to get everything in Kakariko out of the way before even leaving.
Yeah, this is the ideal Kakariko village. And there's the lamp that brings everything back into logic.
So I guess what we were thinking was a sequence break wasn't that big of one, since the lamp was just hiding right there in Kakariko Village for us. We have a flute activation here on Mark's side, 16 minutes into the match.
And Goomba is off to fight Moldorm. Ooh, Goomba taking a fall to Moldorm.
2 hits down, had 1 more to go, couldn't quite close it out. Goes back up the stairs here for round number 2 with Moldorm.
You were saying?
Make that round 3. 3rd time is the charm.
Yeah, that's good. And Sick King gives us his heart.
Always kind of a little sketchy when a sick kid decides to give you their heart.
Yeah, not sure why. And the back of the tower and just having a heart piece, that will do it for Kakariko.
Meanwhile, 3rd time was the charm for Goomba, taking down Moldorm, drawing his first blood 18 minutes into the match. Mark checking out the library ledge, just a bottle with some red potion in it. Don't think we'll be seeing that anymore today.
Yeah, it's not. Ooh, half magic was just sitting around on the race game. Mark not going to grab it.
Man, I can see both sides of it there, going back and grabbing it and not grabbing it. It's not something you need, but with the fire rod in hand as well this early, it's always just one of those quality of life items that's really nice and handy to have. You can be a little more careless with your magic use.
Yeah, to take a page out of Tracy M's book, it's a nice luxury item.
It'll be interesting to see what Goomba does when he goes over there towards the race game. Yeah, easy to see both sides of that one. If you decided to dive the race game, yeah, just go ahead and may as well grab it. If not, well, let's just kind of leave it there since it really doesn't unlock anything for us.
Yeah, and Goomba is going to be the first player to enter the Dark World, heading straight for Cave 73, as I like to call it.
That is a 19-minute Dark World entrance. We're getting a map check here. 5-6 in Skullwoods, as well as Swamp, Green Pendant Thieves, Red Pendant Misery Mire, and Blue Pendant Pod. Turtle Rock, with all of those items that we got early on for it, is actually a crystal.
Green Pen and Thieves Town is interesting because there's one thing I've heard from one of the runners was that it's kind of difficult to route it in. Green Pen and Thieves Town. You either go for it or you don't. K73 giving us Blue Mail and Quake. We might. We'll see what Quake is if Quake's required. Blue Mail is nice to have though.
As well as a whole lot of 300 rupees. We might want to even hold out until we see Zora if we even do this match, just to see what that ended up getting for him. Looks like Goomba's going to be taking the south route here over to Kakariko. Meanwhile, Marcnificent going through, formerly known as Hype. Alright, moment of truth, Goomba. What are you going to do here?
He sees the half magic and looks like he's opting to grab it.
Pulling out those bombs, and he will be going for the half magic. Might be going over to Pod, or is he going to go to Pyramid here? We're going Pyramid.
Grabbing the half magic is nice because, as you said, it doubles that Fire Rod's potential usage very well. It's like 16 shots compared to 8. It's fair game.
Yeah, it allows you to be a little more careless with it. With a few more hits, and the Fire Rod already being in your possession with as strong of a weapon as it is. Like I said, I can see both ways, skipping it and or grabbing it.
That was a really quick check from Marcnificent. Looked like there was nothing on the pyramid ledge. Looks like chat's pointing out it is 20 rupees.
As far as I can see, that did look like it was a 20 rupee piece just sitting up there. Mark taking this route even further up. He'll be giving us a catfish check now.
I've seen this catfish be the source for all sorts of trouble.
Catfish seems to be one of those locations where if you check it early on, it doesn't have anything, but if you skip it, it has that one last item that you're definitely going to last location. To me, it seems to be one of those never-win situations going up here right away.
Goomba's given the auditory flute activation. Yeah, that's the catfish check is so out of the way that if it does have progression, that in the runners decide to just skip it, they're going to last location until the very end, and that runner will count the catfish check with the progression. It's going to have a big advantage in the long term.
Catfish is just one of those where sometimes it's better off bite the bullet and go up there and get nothing than it is to skip it and end up last location. Just depends on how risky you want to play this match. Mark looks like he's just being a little more thorough in his checks and routing here early on. Definitely kind of showing that he knows he's down a game and needs to win this one here to stay in it.
Yeah, Marcnificent is the one who chose standard for tonight's match, as he was the loser of Game 1. He was able to pick one option to change, one option only. Looks like that piece, that one heart container early on in Lion's Hub was the Sanctuary Heart. That's the only heart container in the game that gives you full magic or full hearts as soon as you pick it up.
That's another one of those things just to keep in mind, because if runners haven't found it yet, more often than not, you might see them check the chest after Moldorm 2 in hopes to grab it there and get a heart refill.
Marcnificent going to Skull Woods, gonna play it going to the back. Goomba is going to follow Marcnificent into the Dark World the same way that got into the Dark World to begin with.
But I wanted to become to definitely like this play here that we're seeing on Mark's side. If you have that Fire Rod and if Skullwoods is a crystal, go ahead, go to the back, take Mothula out. That way, if it is an item on Mothula, you only have one other one to look for. So you have to go back here anyways.
Yeah, and considering that Swamp Palace is our other 5/6 crystal, once we get the flippers and a mirror, we can easily check out the bomb shop and grab the Pyramid Fairy checkout as we exit it.
This is definitely going to be interesting to see the difference between both these runners' Mothula fights coming up here. Goomba with the half magic, will have twice as many Fire Rod usages going to the back here as Mark does. Mark opting for some spin strats here right off the top. 2 shots with the Fire Rod and pulling out the hammer now. Hammer does quite a bit of damage, but the hitbox is a little wonky. However, making quick work of it. That will be crystal number 2 for Mark, but not an item.
Yeah, specifically, the hammer does tempered sword damage. It makes a whole lot of sense for this fight because it does. Actually, I don't know. I don't want to say because I might get it wrong.
You just need to know it does tempered sword damage and has a little bit more of a wonky hitbox than some of the other items. Definitely a lot harder to use than what Mark made it look like.
Goomba, meanwhile, drops down into his own Mafia fight. Big key in the bottom of the back of Escape. But also will opting to do the Hammer Moth fight.
Kind of an interesting decision, have magic and a fairly full magic meter, but not opting to use the Fire Rod. Either way, Goomba does take down Mothula, crystal number 2 for Goomba as well.
And Mark is going to head back to the front of Skull Woods. Gotta find those 2 items because we're still 2 away. There's our first one. That's going to be a shield. Grabbing the key from the big chest, gonna go to the left. Check out this chest. There's another key. Probably, if there's not an item here, then it's probably gonna be on the. It's probably gonna be on the pinball room, which prior to version 31 was guaranteed to be a key.
Yep, and there it is. Item number 2 is a piece of heart. This room was guaranteed to be a key before version 31 because you could technically soft lock yourself in that room if you didn't have a small key and took a drop down.
Yeah. But overall, nothing in Skull Woods. Marcnificent leaving and going to go and check out the bumper ledge.
Now, where do you go from here? If you're one of these runners in this race and you see that Thieves Town's that green pendant, At this point, what do you do? Do you just dip the front, or do you decide to go all the way to the back and take out blind for that pendant while you're there?
Yeah, that is going to be a hard call. Like I mentioned, it is tricky to route in Green Pendant Thieves Town, just because it's been available to you from the start. So, like, as you were saying, like, do you opt to go check the first 4 chests, or do you just go full deep into it? Now, we do have a hammer, so we can full clear of this dungeon and grab the green pendant.
I'd almost be thinking it's one of those where you do have to go over to Eastern anyways, and you haven't been there yet. While you're here, it is a rather quick dungeon, and you can clear all checks in it with that hammer. I almost think you have to grab that green pendant just in case.
Nothing in the village of Outcasts. Looks like Mark's gonna head straight over to Thieves Town.
So here will be our next deciding point. Which one of our runners decides to go all the way to the back and which one doesn't? Or are they both going to do the same thing and figure out, let's just take the front 4 or let's full clear it?
That's our first item in the first 4 chests. That's just 20 rupees.
Yep, you're guaranteed the big key in one of these first 4, and then an assortment of either dungeon items or rando placed items in the other 3.
Ooh, there's ether. Just one more way so we can guarantee our access into one of the medallion dungeons, or both, depending on what happens. And Mark is heading for the back of Thieves Town.
Yeah, I'm definitely kind of playing into what I said earlier. Mark knows that he has to win this one to move on and wants to be very thorough just to be sure that it isn't something on that green pendant or one of these one-off check locations like the catfish that ends up ending his tournament life here.
Goomba gonna grab his ether medallion.
It looks like Goomba is headed towards the back as well. I almost think with Thieves Town here being the green pendant, it makes it a little bit of an easier decision for our runners, especially since Thieves Town is one of the quicker dungeons to scale through. If it was one of the other 2 pendants, it might be a little bit of a different story, since you wouldn't have that assured other item chance off of the boss fight in the form of that green pendant.
Yeah, and the sunroof only giving out 300 rupees, so we're pretty much all loaded. We've been loaded since the very start of the seed. That pretty much just guarantees it.
That gives us all the rupees that we could possibly ever need here in the seed.
Yeah, that is true. Mark heading over to the maiden, and there's the flippers.
So it is a required dip, at least to the cell in Thieves Town.
That was our 4th and final item in Thieves Town, so Mark is gonna just head straight over to Blind.
Now, even though he does have Fighter Sword in hand, Blind is only boss in the game that has 3 phases, 3 hits per phase, does not matter which item you use. It could be the fighter sword, it could be the gold sword, it's the same amount of hits, the same amount of phases. If you do it right, keep it on script so the fight does not deviate every single time you're here.
Yeah, it's just because of the fact that blind requires 9 hits no matter what, it is possible to script this fight out. And Mark finishes up blind and gets the green pendant. Goomba just right behind him with the flippers, gonna carry the maiden over.
Definitely a good feeling on the end of both runners when you go through Thieves Town, get to the back there, and find pretty much in your last chest item that is required. So you know that this dip wasn't for nothing. You had an item that you did need for progression that your opponent will need to grab as well.
Yeah, and as a result, both Goomba and Mark are still close by to each other. No big divergence just yet into Dig Game only having 50 rupees.
We're getting a little off script as well, but no issues there, taking down Blind, grabbing their green pen. And so the quest continues.
And Stumpy only having 20 rupees. Alright, Mark, where do you think you're gonna go now? Heading over to the eastern area, gonna probably turn in the green pendant.
Interesting decision to go over here before you get that bow. But it is one of the more item-dense locations he does have left, especially since we don't have Titan's mitts. Speaking of which, it's the bow, the Titan's mitts, and potentially the boots that we're still looking for here.
And the green pendant just only having 3 bombs. Check Sahasrah's closet. And another red potion.
Not what you're looking for, but definitely won't complain. On to the next location.
Mark is heading over to the Ice Rock Cave, gonna grab the single arrow from there.
Goomba, looks like we're gonna get some flippers checks here out of the way now. Oh, and there's a bow.
Ooh. That means 2 items are locked behind the mirror. You know, one of them is the mushroom. Now, who's to say that if that has progression, we don't know. The man underneath the bridge just giving us 50 rupees, and Marcnificent is also going to do the flipper checks. Goomba opting to flute over to Kakariko Village.
Get his sick kid check out of the way. Kind of an interesting thought here with that bow being on Lake Hylie Island. We do know we need the mirror as well so we can clear out Swamp. Just comes down to whether or not that's our first or our second bow, but there is the mirror as well as a Master Sword.
That is... you're on fire in terms of this commentary's blessing.
Definitely a lot better than being a curse. I seem to say something and there just happens to be hiding. We got the mirror, that means if we wanted to, we could just jump over and grab that bow as well.
And the Master Sword just right next to it too is very nice to have. And Marcnificent is going to check out Zora. As many rupees as possible. We're not really too worried about Zora potentially scamming us. And he gives us his heart.
It's one very expensive Valentine, if you ask me. And I believe both of our runners did see that bow on Hylia Island. It looks like Mark might actually be heading there right as we speak. He could either go there or he could go into Swamp.
If I was the runners right now, I would definitely go to Swamp and follow that mirror. Pretty much go straight over to that because Swamp Palace has a total of 6 items. Makes a lot of sense to do this right away and just wait until you get the bow after you're done with not only Swamp Palace, but also since we're here, we can do the Pyramid Fairy.
That is true, and it'll also be interesting to see, when or if our runners decide to check Desert right now, because that might determine whether or not we need those boots as well. So we know where the bow is. We don't know if we need the boots yet or not, but we're still looking for our Titan's mitts.
Yeah, and that will give us access to Turtle Rock and Ice Palace. Now, the logic does expect the key to be in Swamp Palace as the first chest, otherwise we can't even get in to begin with.
The only exception to that would be another mode, but we're not playing that.
Nope, and the first of our 6 items is going to be 50 rupees.
Question we might have coming up here will be whether or not our runners decide to go left. I can guarantee we'll all be going to the back right away. It'll be interesting to see how many items we do have left in this dungeon, and whether or not we do decide to go check what those other ones might potentially be.
So I'm looking at this now, the only thing really that the pedestal could have, as I'm thinking about it now, is potentially Bombos if Turtle Rock requires it. And some other ones that could potentially be like the book on the pedestal, maybe if we get crazy, the boots.
Yeah, needless to say, it definitely is on life support at this point.
Yeah, that is true. There's the big key pretty early, and the big chest only having a heart piece. And now let's see if there's any route divergence. Not really. Both are going to head to the back of Swamp Palace, which makes sense.
Yeah, you found 2. Let's go right to the back. Let's just see if it makes it worthwhile or not to come back and go to the left side of the swamp.
And to answer our question, chat, the bow is locked behind Lake Hylia Island. We do have access to it via the mirror. Red Boomerang, and there's the Titan's mitts.
Now, this is going to be interesting to see how the runners decide to play this one here. Because at 44 minutes, that could potentially be our goal. Potentially, because we don't know Turtle Rock yet, and we don't know if we need those boots.
Yeah. now that we're pretty much in a Schrodinger's go mode situation, at that point, really,
Big question becomes, do you play the rest of this seed now like you're in go mode?
well, considering that there's 2 medallions already in our pockets, I'd say go for it. And at that point too, then just worried about if the boots are required to get the big key of Ganon's Tower off the torch.
Yeah, I think after this, my next move, or the best next move, would probably be something fluting right over to Desert 2 and checking on that to see if you need the boots for that. That could give you an idea of where you'd want to go to next.
Both runners having very clean Argus fights.
And both of them at 46 minutes grabbing third crystal. We're quite neck and neck here. Mark looks like he's heading right over to that bow. Goomba right behind him.
Yeah, this seed has been very generous, and hopefully you don't have to worry about medallions or the boots this seed. And this will actually bring us into Schrodinger's go mode at 46 minutes and like 50 some seconds. 49 seconds.
Well, Mark opting to go right to ice, it looks like. Goomba is gonna go for the desert play to see if we need those boots or not. Interesting little bit of divergence we're gonna get here.
Oh yeah, you still need the boots for Desert Palace. That is true.
Yep, if we do have that key sitting on top of that torch, potentially be big. Like I was saying early on when both of our runners checked the lumberjack ledge, sometimes the knowledge is the key in this. If you know what you do and don't need, you know how to basically play the rest of your seed.
Is required for Misery Mire, so that is something to consider if depending on the boots are required for Desert Palace.
Mark actually opting to take out the pen gators in that room. We'll start with him going to Ice Palace. He would have opted more just to go mode the whole thing and get in and out as soon as he could here.
Desert Palace is not boots locked. So at this point, the only thing that will stop Goomba, that is either if Turtle Rock requires Bombos, or if the Ganon's Tower Big Key is locked behind Bob's torch.
Goomba's still looking for an item here as well, though, deciding to check this chest. Does get the second item.
Yeah, he is out of there. Mark stood up for an Ice Palace bomb jump, gets it.
So kind of giving you a little bit of an insight to both these runners' minds. It seems like they both do know they could be in go mode, but they're treating it kind of half like they are, half like they aren't.
Yeah, they're playing it passively, just in the event that potentially one of either like Turtle Rock, Ganon's Tower is locked behind things that we need to keep this game going. Pretty quick overall. Nothing really has been kind of in the way in terms of badly placed items that would pretty much end the game right then and there.
And for the most part, everything has been fairly linear. Nothing really hidden. Just got to see what we got here out of Ice Palace on Mark's side, though, since it looks like he might be full clearing it. Meanwhile, over Goomba taking down Landmolis for crystal number 4. Still, by all means, a very, very tight race here.
Yeah, it's very close. Not a lot of divergence has been happening between both runners. They're still very tightly knit. Yes, while Goomba does have the crystal advantage right now, it's still very, very tight.
All it just comes down to at this point is whether or not there's something hiding here in ice that Mark's decided at full clear. Definitely an interesting decision on his part, however.
Yeah. Goomba heading over to Checkerboard Cave. Only 20 rupees. There's the final bottle hiding out in Ice Palace.
However, full clearing Ice Palace here does kind of fit into what Mark has been doing, playing quite conservatively, just being very thorough in all of the chat.
Unfortunately, Mark did not find the big key, which I think at that point would have to be in the iced tea room.
I think iced tea is the only thing we haven't seen yet here. So Mark will be dropping down to Cold Stare. Goomba giving us our first look inside of Eastern Palace that Bo acquired off of Lake Hylia Island. The first item is just a pack of 3 bombs. Mark's dropping down to Cold Stare.
Mark gonna burn all of their magic and lock them up and lock those cold stairs up into the back of the wall. I'm just trying to at least end this out here by just swinging. I'm gonna pull out that hammer. Taking advantage of that temper sword damage. Down goes Cold Stare. And there's the boots. So that solves the Gaten's Tower situation, but that still does not solve the Turtle Rock situation.
Now that evens up both of our runners at 4 crystals apiece. However, after full clearing Ice Palace, I don't think you really wanted to see an item like the boots there sitting on Cold Stare.
Now that does give Mark confidence to go over to Desert Palace. Now, this will be interesting. If Mark finds out that the big key of Ganon's Tower is locked behind Bob's torch, then Mark has a very nice lead ahead of him.
It could go both ways, since Cold Stare is one of our crystals. Both runners will have those boots by the time they get up there.
And the Book of Medora is locked behind the big chest of Eastern Palace. Now, like I said, the only thing that Pedestal could really have if Turtle Rock is Bombos is Bombos, but it's still on life support.
Yeah, Yep, at this point, that is literally the only thing that could be left there. Chances are quite slim, and for all we know, Turtle Rock could be the Quake Medallion that we got pretty early in the game. Since, of course, we got every other Turtle Rock item within like the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, and I've always said this before, it's never the pedestal until it is the pedestal. But Goomba is off to fight the Armos Knights, gonna set up for that quick kill. Very nice.
Solid Armos Knights fight there on Goomba's side. That is crystal number 5. Meanwhile, Mark dropping in for Lammo's fight here for their 5th crystal coming. And Goomba gonna show us a little bit. Oh, no. He's actually gonna go turn in that green pendant.
That wasn't a really nice RNG pattern for those Lammos to make that Fire Rod play any good use.
Pulling out the flute, dropping Landmoles, getting crystal number 5 on their side. Put back 5 to 5. And Goomba looks like we're going right over to Ice Palace. Be interesting to see if this is going to be a straight go mode ice, or if he's going to look around a little bit for another item. Well, Mark heading right up to Eastern Palace, so we're getting a little bit of a recovering of each other's steps at this point. Goomba actually doing a little bit of clearing here as well, not fully go moding yet.
So as Mark is making their way through Eastern, and Goomba's gonna make their way through Ice, it's good enough time to say that he should have followed both of these runners. They're doing an excellent job right now.
Yeah, drop on over to their Twitch channels there, give them a follow. They definitely do appreciate your support and love on the daily when they're practicing or competing in races such as this for your entertainment. Be interesting to see what times both of our runners get out of their current dungeons, because that means all we have left is the Turtle Rock dip. They're both in their 6th crystal dungeon of the evening already, and we're not even quite at an hour yet.
Goomba's opting to just go mode this dungeon.
Yeah, dropping the straight down, we'll be going into this cold stare fight very shortly. It kind of gives you an idea of the mindset he's in, and little bit of a difference in the play styles between when you know you're down 0-1 and up 1-0. Half magic coming in handy right there for Goomba, getting quite a few more fire rod shots off, taking 2 of the puffs down very quickly. Pulling out the hammer to get rid of the third. That is a nice cold stare fight for Goomba, some boots to go with it, and crystal number 6. On Mark's side, down goes the Armos Knights. Crystal number 6 there as well. Both runners with 6 crystals, and we're only an hour into this match.
Here's the burning question that everyone was starting to look for now. Is Turtle Rock Bombos or not?
Definitely interesting to find out here as Mark's going for a few refills before heading up the mountain. Well, Goomba just went right for it. We should see very shortly whether or not we'll be able to go into Turtle Rock, or are we still going to be looking for that key?
Yeah, so at this point, so if this is Bombos, the game is afoot. If it's either or Quake, Goomba and soon Marcnificent will be in go mode. And survey says it is Bombos. Ooh boy, the game continues.
We still have a match on our hands, folks.
This is gonna be exciting. Goomba heading for Hookshot Cave.
You may as well see right away if the key is hiding under the doormat. So far, it's not there.
Yeah, nothing so far. Fire shields. Bluebird Marine. No, it's not gonna be underneath the doormat just yet. It's just gonna head over to. It's gonna now head over to Super Bunny Cave. Is it gonna be here underneath this doormat?
Definitely still have a few other checks here on Dark Death Mountain. We're getting our net out of the way and another pack of bombs. Nothing in Super Bunny. Got a race for Bombos. And that item, as far as we know, very well could be on Ped too.
Yeah, that is true. And that is one of the only thing that is left to check. And Goomba is gonna head over to Spike Cave.
That would definitely be interesting, having a match where you could pretty much full clear 6 crystals in under an hour, but still have to go do the Ped. Meanwhile, Goomba grabbing that mushroom just in case that's the answer. He's going to take that book over to Ether Tablet.
That's a nice backup for Goomba to go and check out the mushroom just in case. There's the silver arrows.
Now, those are definitely going to be nice depending on where we find that last sword. If we do find a third sword, I should say at all. Because Master Sword Silverless can be quite a beast.
Yeah, this is very... It's not a fun fight, that is for sure. That makes Silver Arrows save quite a bit of time. Goomba can now go to check out Spike Cave. Is it here in Spike Cave? No, just 3 bombs.
So the mountain is not the answer. Will it be the mushroom turn-in? At this point, it is definitely a mad dash to find that Bombos medallion. Of course, whoever finds that first will have a huge advantage the way this match has been going. Trying for a little bit of spin speed there, not getting it. dashing off and if the mushroom survey says that
Vanilla
is
powder.
vanilla.
Oh dear. So now So now it's either the magic bat or the pedestal, or Total Rock, or like all the other overall checks too. We still have the boots checks. We still have Graveyard Ledge. We have quite a lot open to us. Goomba heading straight for King's Tomb.
Don't let the times and the amount that they have cleared fool you. There's still a lot of game that they need to check. Unfortunately, both the runners know that it is not on Lumberjack Ledge. They did check that early on, so that is one that they can get out of the way right early.
Yeah, and Goomba now gonna check out Bunk Rocks.
Meanwhile, let's take a look here where Mark might be going.
There's the Mirror Shield in the Bonk Rocks. Not what we're looking for just yet. And Goomba is also heading over to Kakariko. Gonna probably do the Blacksmith Chain. Oh, and looks like Goomba's gonna go and check out the pedestal. Now Bombos could be on there. I mean, again, it's not a bad idea. I'm just kind of expecting for the usual suspects, but who's to say that probably the Bombos is going to be on the ped? Like it happened like the other day on a daily race.
If it is here, this does give Goomba a huge advantage.
But it's just bombs, not bombos, but bombs. And as I kind of figured, it's the usual suspects. So it's not pedestal.
Nope, and the hunt continues. Definitely a good decision, however, by Goomba to knock that out, because if that did end up being Bombo, you can just go ahead and go mode the rest of your dungeons, and you know what you need to do.
I would just be laughing because that's like 3 days in a row.
And I think we had Bombos on ped in one of our daily races the other day too recently. Smith chain just a tip, and Mark is going to be turning in the... Oh, he's going to go fake powder. Little does he know the mushroom turn is just the powder.
Watch it be the shovel or something.
Great. Goomba going for a little bit of interesting tech here. The bomb dupe, if you cross the screen transition when the bomb generally goes off when the timer hits 0, the bomb actually reappears behind you. So you can see a little bit faster since you can dash. Normally, if you do dash with the bomb, you just leave it behind. However, Mad Batter today giving us Tempered Sword. So now we're to Pyramid Fairy.
Alright, is it Imperial Fairy? No. Maybe Graveyard Ledge?
We do have Bombo Staff. And with all the things we've had vanilla so far this game.
Oops, I forgot to grab the chest. You jerk.
It's also another interesting thing to keep in mind. Left side swamp, I believe, has 2 items.
3 bombs from the purple chest turn-in. Goomba gonna go and check out Graveyard Ledge. Well, Marcnificent is gonna find out that that whole excursion to get the powder, to get that fake powder was all for naught. And Graveyard Ledge, no, but a big jackpot.
Unfortunately, we don't need those at this point. Of course, Mark will be picking up the powder. It'll come in handy for a few refills later on. So the hunt continues.
So now at this point, you either go to Mire or Pod.
If you're deciding between those, it has to be Pod, just due to the item density in comparison to Mire.
Yeah, I'm in the boat of saying that Pod would be the right call to make.
But if you're playing conservative, you definitely go for pod. I could almost see Mark going for that here after these next few. If Goomba wants to keep playing a little bit more on the risky side, you could probably see that Misery Mire dip, knowing that your opponent might go for pod instead, trying to get that leg up. But once again, don't forget about left side swamp. I believe we do have 2 items hanging out over there still.
Yeah, left side swamp was left out for both runners. Goomba is gonna make the play over to pod. I wonder what Marcnificent is gonna do next. Gonna head for Misery Mire.
It's kind of opposite of what I'm saying here. Goomba going for the conservative play, meanwhile Mark looking like he's trying to claw right back on in here. Is he just gonna check the shed as well as checkerboard, or is he gonna go into pod? And not pod, Misery Mire.
Now this is gonna be this is gonna be a close call. If Goomba finds the Bombo, if Goomba finds Bombos here in pod, I don't think Mark could potentially go there until very late. On the flip side, if Mark finds it in Mire, then Goomba might not be going there for a while. It's pretty much just a yin and yang kind of thing. I don't know.
For all we know it, neither of these could be the answer. Both runners are just gonna be swimming in the... Looks like Mark's remembering he hasn't checked Agina yet. Heading over that way. Meanwhile, Goomba finding a cave.
Bombos is still eluding Goomba. With that cape in hand, we know that it's nothing. There's nothing on the bumper ledge. But he is a nice safety.
One of those items you won't go out of your way at this point to grab, but if you get it, you may as well make use of it.
Looks like Mark opting not to go to Misery Mire, which is interesting.
Ooh, almost looked like he frame rolled himself past his bird there. He's gonna go to pod as well.
So Mark is going to be close by to Goomba once again.
So now if you're sitting here hoping Mark can get his way back into this even up 1-1, you do not want to see a Bombos medallion appear over on Goomba's side here in pod. You want pod to be just about as empty as it can be. But on the flip side then too, you probably don't want there to be anything in Mire either.
Yeah, it's so hard to call at this point, because we're looking for Bombos and it's either in the 2 medallion dungeons at this point. Nothing on Catfish, nothing on Graveyard Ledge. Left side swamp is still a viable option. There's a shovel.
Yep. Green Pendant was turned in for a whole lot of nothing. We did just get ourselves another fetch quest in the form of that shovel.
Yeah, and that's interesting because now if that's where the Bombos is, then Goomba, I don't know if Goomba will go to do that first or if Mark will. I'm thinking Goomba though, but there's Red Meal locked behind the dark maze. There's a compass, and that's really it for this side of pod. Now Goomba is going to go to the back of Pod.
The farther Goomba drops in here, the better and better that Mystery Mire play seems to be looking.
Yeah, in this chat pointing out as due to the fact that we only have 4 of our 5, Helmasaur only has the last item.
But it looks like Goomba's gonna be going all the way to the back here at this point to see what that item is. Since Mark was over in the Misery Mire area and didn't go in, I definitely have to say we have probably about a 3 or 4 minute advantage here for Goomba.
Looks like Mark is gonna continue on the Pod. Now, if Bombos is on Helmasaur, Mark could have saved some time by heading straight over to Helmasaur. Seeing that it's a pendant, it's better to be safe than sorry. So I'm not too surprised that Mark would go to the left here.
Yeah, it looks like both of our runners are playing the item density. I mean, Mark's only hope, though, at this point, unfortunately, is for it to not be in a dungeon. Be on one of those other overworld checks, and for him to just happen to go to those overworld checks before heading over to Mire here.
Mark picking up the shovel as Goomba is going to fight the Helmasaur King. Picking up in that shell with 17 hammer shots and a silver arrow to the gem.
So hold your breath. What do we have? It's just 20 rupees. We continue on and not even going to go through the fanfare, saving and quitting out as Goomba to save a few precious seconds.
Yeah, as Goomba does have the information, Mark might have to sit through the fanfare, as I believe Mark does not have the information about the pedestal.
Yep, Goomba was the only one of our runners to check that ped. Mark has not. Goomba, however, is going to follow that shovel first. See if this is anything. Strike the earth, and we just get a piece of heart. We continue on.
So Pod was a bust. Goomba... I wonder what Goomba will do next.
Looking like we might be getting a smith chain from Goomba. This could work in Mark's advantage since Mark's already done these checks. The way the seed has been, with all the vanilla items we have had, I'm surprised no one has dashed right over to that Bombos tablet quite yet.
Yeah, that hasn't been checked yet.
I don't believe Mark checked his when he turned in his chest either. So it'll be interesting to see how Goomba routes this over here and see whether or not Goomba checks the Bombos tablet in the way.
Yeah, since Mark opted to flute over to the purple chest guy instead of going through the dark world and mirroring next to him, or something like that.
Kind of interesting to see the route Goomba takes for the purple chest turn in, however. Does Goomba decide to mirror out and check the powder location and then flute? Or will we just be dashing on over to the turn-in?
Yeah, I think Mark would be able to probably save some time. Even then, if Goomba decides to turn in the powder and get his temper sword, of course we would be on equal playing field, since Goomba wouldn't have to deal with Master Sword Ganon. But it's opting to go for that tempered sword over on the Magic Bat, while Mark takes down the Helmasaur King fight.
Alright, Mark's got a handful of choices, so do Goomba. There's still a few places that neither of the two have went. And their Mark is going through the fanfare, grabbing the pendant. Of course, has not checked the pendant.
Yeah, that's will cost him around I think 10 seconds.
Now it'll be interesting to see if Mark decides to go down to Swamp or if we're going to Misery Mire. This will be our vanilla check as well as Swamp check.
It is likely. It's also possible that Misery Mire might have it. And Goomba is opting to go for the Dark World purple chest. Gonna stop at K45. And oh, looks like Mark is gonna probably route K45 in along with the shovel.
Yep, 45, the dig spot. And then potentially on over to Bombos.
Yeah, it's looking like it. Goomba is going to leave that purple chest behind and gonna do a nice little glitch where if you mirror right next to the purple chest guy, without the chest right next to you, he'll just give you it anyway.
So purple chest turning are some bombs. Goomba going back. Well, Mark about to hit the dig spot. Here we go. Are we going to have yet another vanilla item in this seed?
So at this point too, if it's here on Bombo's medallion, obviously vanilla, but it's also going to be a go mode. No, it is not. It's going to be 20 rupees. So it's either left side swamp or Misery Mire.
And Goomba going Mire. Almost hoping for Mark's sake at this point that Mire is not the answer since he was in the neighborhood, did everything around it, but did not go into Mire. And
yeah, Mark getting the unfortunate news that 20 rupees is on there, and I wonder what Mark is going to do next. Gonna check the hobo.
We also have the big chest in Ice Palace, though I'm not sure if we've seen all items there or not. Okay, Mark getting his 50 rupees from the hobo, continuing on. And Goomba giving our first check here in Misery Mire. There's Bombos. Oof.
123.10. Goomba has now entered go mode, and Mark is going to be right next to him. We might have a race on our hands.
This is definitely going to be a feels bad if you're Mark when you get to this point. You know, you're in the area, and you just didn't go into Misery Mire. Although by no means did he make the wrong play going over to Pod instead, just due to item density.
Yeah, this kind of hurts because Mark had the opportunity to get the Bombos earlier on in the seed, and since Mark's going to go there right away. Of course, and again, dare I say, we might have a race on our hands. It's still kind of close.
Definitely close. It's all going to come down to their Ganon Tower routing and execution as they go. Now, if one decides to go left, the other decides to go right. It just depends where that big key might be hiding. However, we do have a turtle rock here right in front of us before we even get there.
Mark is opting to go and check this chest first. That's will give Goomba a bit more time. And at 124.47, Mark enters go mode.
So Mark definitely a couple of minutes behind. It's going to be interesting to see the execution in play, and we got a big key right away in our first chest we open up in Turtle Rock. This is going to be a quickie here.
Yeah, this definitely looks like a very quick Turtle Rock. Mark on their way over to Turtle Rock.
Alright, so after that 20-minute interlude of Hunt for the Bombos, we are back to the race.
Ooh, okay, I was worried that Mark got dead rock there. Luckily, he didn't.
That was definitely a close one there.
Mark entering, opening Turtle Rock. Gonna soon enter Turtle Rock. Nice job of Goomba getting through the worst room in the game, over in Link to the Past, that is.
The one area in the game that you have Chain Chomps, monster from Mario, making his appearance here, and they like to do a whole lot of damage.
Yeah, it's not a fun... They're not fun to deal with. Goomba opting to steal the key from the Pokies.
And on Goomba goes. Mark about 2 minutes behind at this point. And Goomba's just going straight to the back, won't even be taking a few of the safety doors here. First front part of the dungeon.
There's another key, so Goomba's can actually skip doing Laser Bridge.
Yep, key layout working in their advantage, making this dungeon even faster.
Which is nice.
Mark enters the basement. And Goomba is about 3 rooms away from Trinex. Hard left here. Showing off a little bit of a cape dash, and down we go.
Now, one thing I'm kind of noticing too, as we're about to enter Ganon's Tower, since Goomba opted to get half magic earlier in the race and Mark didn't, I don't know if it makes a big difference, but Goomba might actually have a better time with Ganon fight. But I don't think it really matters since both have Temper Sword, both have silvers. They don't really need to worry about the torch glitch.
Definitely not, especially with those silvers in hand. Meanwhile, a spin and a slash, and down goes Trinex for Goomba. That is crystal number 7. Do you know what that means?
Oh, I definitely know what that means. So inside Ganon's Tower, there are 22 locations where the Ganon's Tower Big Key could potentially be, from 1 to 22. Get your guesses in chat where you think that Big Key might be. And I'm gonna guess Well, it was very nice at the start, except for maybe the Bombos kind of having a rough time. Let's be about halfway. Let's go for 7.
I'm just gonna stick with my 14. That seems to be usually a good number for me to sit there, and it's a very, very medium number. It seems to be right down in the middle. Gotta dance with the crystals. Down comes the staircase.
And 21 chests and a single torch separates Goomba from finishing off this game. Let's do this. Chest number 1 and number 2, 10 arrows and a key. Goomba is going to head over to the right side.
And Marcnificent making quick work as well of his Trinix fight. Spin double hit and a slash, and down goes Trinix. That is crystal number 7 as well. Grabbing their butter sword.
20 rupees. Well, at least if you were wondering, no, there wasn't anything of use over on the right. We're up to 6. So is it here on the torch all this time? No, just 20 rupees.
So that's 7 checks down, and we continue on. Marcnificent getting their crystal dance done. We'll be entering Ganon's tower very shortly as well. 8, we got some arrows. 9 for 300 rupees. 10, another small key. And 11, yet another small key. We continue on as Mark looks to be going down the right side as well.
Yeah, going down the right side, no time change. Number 12 is 50 rupees. It's gonna skip out on the tile room gamble.
Skipping past the tile room. At this point, that would have been probably the only thing left that could have caught Mark up here those couple of minutes behind that hit. Still very close. Don't forget, we do have a tower climb and a bit of execution yet to. $13, a pack of bombs. We got Randall Room coming up.
So is it here in the random room? 14, 15, 16, and 17. Number 14 is a key. Number 15 is gonna mirror here. And there it is, number 15. And none other than Neustria winning the Gans Tower Big Key guessing game, scoring a hefty 52 points. And you also won a trip to the Conductor's Auto Express. My personal gift.
Alright, Goomba making his way on up the climb. Still very close. Keep in mind, if there's any sort of execution faux pas on Goomba's side, this could be for Mark. Much needed time to catch up. And let's start the gauntlet here. conveyors, spikes, ice, beamos, whole bunch of hard enemies and obstacles crammed into very small rooms. Definitely not as easy as Goomba is making it look here, traveling right on through. And just like that, Goomba's making his way to Land Mode 2. Mark heading on into Rando Room. Should be getting their big key very shortly as well. It's actually going to be chest number 17 for Mark the way Mark decided to open. Mark will be heading on up.
We're going through a series of rooms that are very satisfying. Well, these two rooms, but this is even more satisfying room. Oh yeah. Once you know how to get that, it is very satisfying. I got it down a couple of times. It is very satisfying once you get it down.
Definitely one of the more fun things to do on your climb up here in Randomizer. Just making quick work of a few Wizrobes.
To the torches.
Three keys in hand, literally no reason to open up any more chests the rest of the way.
Yeah, red mail, gold sword, and powder. You have a powder and half magic. Oh yeah, Goomba is loaded.
Silvers, 16 hearts.
Oh, definitely. Goomba onto what will be a very quick Mold Arm 2 fight.
As you're saying, that is already over.
Yeah, and as I kind of expected, Goomba's loaded. Doesn't need to check any more chests. We're good to go. Just Aga 2, and again, that separates Goomba from moving on to the round of 32.
A little bit of an egonometry test before making it onto the finals. Single on the first hit. Double for the second, that's 3 down. 4. 5, 6, and just for good measure, number 7. That is Aga 2 down for Goomba. I'll mark on into the Torchfire Bar room here. Opting to use lamp strats since he does not have the half magic that Goomba did. As well as picking up the full magic refill before climbing up, and Goomba drops on down into the Ganon fight.
And with the gold sword in hand, this actually makes the 1-1 sequence, 1-1 checks, 1-1 cycle very, very easy to do. Temper Sword is actually, you have to do a little work to get that 1-1 cycle.
Opting for the dash strats into phase 2, but we're already into phase 3 for Goomba. 4 slashes in this part. Ganon decides to knock out the floor. Mark just taken down Mold Arm 2 as well.
And don't know Silver my one true weakness. We're almost done with this fight. Get your GG's in chats for Goomba, and all he has to do to move on to the round of 32 is across a 1x3 bridge. And he has done it. Goomba finishes first. He's our winner of not only this game, but also the match with an official SRL time of 1:39:37.
Well done for Goomba. Making decent work of the Bombos Hunt seed. But don't forget that Mark over here, close behind, taking down Ega too. Just has again a fight between himself and the Triforce as well.
And yeah, it was really just came down to the fact that Bombos was in Misery Mire, and Mark had the opportunity to swing the game here, but as has had it, Goomba will be moving on to the round of 32, and Mark will be eliminated from this tournament.
Mark continuing on here, dropping down into the Ganon fight. Quick dash strats, we're already on to phase 2 here.
Yeah, like I said, that fact that you have a gold sword, this makes the 1-1 cycle very easy to do.
Very nice and very well executed at this point too for Marcnificent. We're into phase 3 and we got 2 hits done in phase 3 already. Make that 3. Ganon is playing very nice today. Phase 4, 1 phase, 3 more silver arrows. That's all that remains for Mark.
1, 2, 1 more to go.
Almost thought we would have had a triple set up there.
And get your GG's in chats for Mark. And all he has to do to finish off this seed is across a 1x3 bridge. What a way to go out in this tournament. Very nicely done for Mark, making it all the way up to the round of 64. And he has finished second place with an official SRL time of 1:42:02.
Get your GG's in chat for both of our runners. Even though that is the elimination hit for Mark, by no means is it, anything to bat your eyes at. Making it into the round of 64 out of nearly 300 runners.
And we are joined by both of our runners, Goomba and Marcnificent. GG to you.
Thank you, guys. GG.
So
GG,
I gotta ask this too. How did you feel about the Turtle Rock play?
Well, in the words of my good friend Pink Kitty Rose, why do we even have these medallions?
Yeah, I figured, like when it was Bombos, I was like, it's got to be close by, right? It's got to be like in one of the chests up there, one of the 6 or 7 or 8 or whatever that I didn't check that was up there. Nope. Yeah, it was a 20-minute journey, like you guys said, to find it. It felt pretty bad. I was thinking almost, I was fearing that it would have been left side swamp as well. I was just like, oh god, there's one more in there.
I wasn't too worried about left side swamp because the way I saw it, there's no way you check left side swamp in a sea. There's absolutely no way you do that.
I know, absolutely.
So if it was left side swamp, I was just assigned to both of us last locationing it.
True, that's how I felt too. But yeah, I mean, I saw that you didn't do pod. Did you go in the pod at all, Goomba?
I did do pod. I full cleared pod.
Okay.
I just didn't grab the pendant.
Okay. Yeah.
I was saving quit after Helma gave me $20 instead of picking up the pendant since I already read the pedestal.
Yeah.
What pretty much what made Goomba decide to do that was he was able to check the pedestal before you, and as a result that he had the opportunity to save some time. I think it was like 10 seconds.
Yeah, cutscene's about 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Save the cutscene.
Sure.
The other thing I just kind of wanted to throw by here as well, Mark, you were in the Misery Mire area, had to do all the Misery Mire checks, but didn't decide to dip in. Were you kind of playing the item density in pod? What was kind of going through your mind at that point?
Yeah, it definitely was item density. I didn't, I don't know, 2 items in Mire, 5 items in pod, although it's a longer trek to get there. Maybe in hindsight, I probably should have just checked Meyer since I was already there. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I was chasing the item density for sure.
Yeah, definitely
For me,
not a bad
the,
play. It was item density. Hindsight is 2020 though.
Mhm.
For me, the main reason I went to pod is actually because I thought there was a reasonable chance that Mark went to pod before Thieves Town, before they found the flippers. So I wanted to play it safe and make sure I didn't get screwed by bombos just being easily accessible in pod.
Yeah, that's a reasonable play. I did do Thieves Town before
Right.
pod.
It's not the Thieves Town play there isn't obvious, so I figured there was a chance you went to pod instead.
Mm-hmm. But
Um,
how about that opening set of items we got? Did you go straight to the mountain?
Well, I did go straight to the mountain, but I didn't actually hookshot across. I did South Shore first. Felt kind of silly getting the flute after that, but at least I got the flute before going to CAC.
Oh, nice, for sure. Good play.
Yeah, for the little bit of divergences that you both had there, it was still a very close run. I mean, for the most part, there's maybe 1, maybe 2 minutes separating both of you throughout the whole thing. Even the hunt for the bombo. I think the real difference was just the unfortunate decision that the way this seed ended up coming out was going to pot instead of jumping into misery while you're in area mark. But other than that, it was still a very, very close seed by both of you. Very well executed.
Oh, thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. No, I recall. So after Swamp, I got the bow, and then I went to Ice Palace, and I'm thinking, I don't know that this is the right play. I was just thinking in my head, I was like, I don't know if this is the right play, and until I beat, obviously I beat Cold Stare and got the boots from him, did I think it was a good play? I was like, oh, I could be in some sort of go mode. I'm not sure yet. Like I've obviously I might need boots. I might need another medallion, but I was like assuming go mode just because I was like, I needed to kind of take some risks here. But I while I was in Ice Palace, I was like, oh no, I'm too far in. I can't. I have to keep going. But I got those boots, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe I have a chance. Because going to Ice Palace right away, might have not been the best play at the time. Given that you might be able to go mode Ice Palace. But
yeah, I got the when I got the bow, I floated to desert to check if I needed boots.
Mm-hmm.
And saw that I didn't, so then I go moded Ice and Eastern, and then went up to Turtle Rock and got blocked by bombos.
Ah, yes. Okay. Yeah, I did. I checked all of Ice, and yeah, I guess that sucks. That feels bad. Obviously,
Yeah, so
I think. Yeah, I mean, Eastern wasn't really a go mode.
The only things I had left were left side swamp and the one item I left in Ice Palace, I think.
Yeah, that was about the other big difference between the two of you in this run was Goomba deciding to go mode Ice, where you very nearly full cleared it there, Mark. And unfortunately, that just ended up being the couple of minutes that it came down to in this.
Yeah. It's a reasonable assumption to go mode, and I had thought about it, and it would have been nice. I guess I would have saved, that couple of minutes. That would have been nice.
Definitely one of those where if you don't check it, there's something there you needed, but if you do, there's the item you're looking for isn't in there. It's in another castle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Overall, it was a very linear seed up until the bombos, but even then it was still kind of sort of linear. But we're gonna wrap this up here. Any final thoughts on this seed?
The seed was a seed. I mean, obviously the trolley bombos, but there's always something in these seeds. I thought maybe like going into swamp finding those mitts. I'm like, wow, am I really in go mode at like, I don't know, 44 minutes or whatever? Because I was like, all I need is mitts, and I was thinking
45 minutes for me as well. But I got the mitts.
Yeah, it felt something like that, and but that's just the way these go, and I'm happy to have made it this far in the tournament, and GG to you, Goomba. Good luck for the rest of the tournament for sure. And yeah, I was definitely had a wonderful time playing in this tournament. I definitely had a great experience going through this, a journey, if you will, for sure. But here's hoping to the next one, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, good luck to you in your future endeavors, and GG to both of you.
All right, GG.
And as we wrap things up here, be sure to give both our runners a nice hearty follow. They did an excellent job. They went out of their way. They managed to get this far, and they really need a good follow. So definitely follow them at twitch.tv/Goomba90 and twitch.tv/MarcnificentTV. And be sure to follow our tracker at twitch.tv/YorkersWife. They are the unsung heroes tracking behind the scenes, so that way we know what's going on. And coming up down the road, there's no more matches tonight, but definitely be sure to take a look at the schedule here. We have IC matches at 7:20, some at 8:20, and 9:20 tomorrow. So definitely give a good look at the schedule and all that. And if you actually want to watch more of this tournament, be sure to watch these to follow the Speed Gaming channels, Speed Gaming and Speed Gaming's through 2 through 6, as well as ALTTP Randomizer and ALTTP Randomizer 2 through 5. And of course, to cap things all off, be sure to follow myself at twitch.tv/Professor Renderer and my co-commentator at twitch.tv/Spyweaver. Spy, do you have any final thoughts on this race?
Not much, other than we saw a very close race between two well-seasoned runners. Even though the tournament life did end for one of them, it is not to be understated how far they made it and how good they are at this game. Like I said earlier, out of nearly 300 people who entered this tournament at the start through the qualifiers, this was the top 64. At this point, though, it just looks like Goomba had the edge just by a couple of minutes in what came down to a hunt for the Bombo. And Goomba will be going on to the round of 32 to face the winner between McLagan and Frostbite 3030. That was definitely a fun seed this evening, watching some great execution by two amazing runners. And as always, it was a pleasure sitting up here commentating it right alongside you, Renderer.
Thank you very much, man. And until next time, take it easy, everyone.
Have a wonderful night, folks, and we'll see you next time.
Take care.